The storm came fast, faster than anyone expected. By evening, the quiet town was unrecognizable. Roads vanished beneath brown rushing water. Power lines snapped and hissed in the wind, and houses that had stood for decades groaned as the flood swallowed their foundations. Inside a small barn on the edge of town, a woman named Claire was trapped. She'd tried to run out when the first wave of water surged through the valley, but the current was too strong. By the time she slammed the barn door shut, water was already seeping in through the cracks in the floorboards. Within minutes, it wasn't just seeping, it was rising. First at her ankles, soaking her boots, then at her knees, pulling straw buckets into a slow, swirling spin. By the time it reached her waist, her breath was coming fast and shallow. She pounded on the heavy wooden doors, screaming for help. But the storm drowned her voice. No one came. Alone in the dim light, fear set in. What if no one found her? What if this was how it ended? Cold, wet, forgotten in the middle of nowhere. The water smelled of mud and oil. It stung her skin. Her arms were shaking from trying to stay above it. Then, through the roar of wind and rain, came a sound she knew. A deep, desperate whinny. Her horse, Jasper. He'd been in the paddock when the flood hit. She thought she'd never see him again. But there he was, chest deep in water, forcing his way through the open stall door. His ears were flat against his head, his coat slick with rain, but his eyes locked on hers. Steady, calm, almost reassuring. "Jasper," she gasped, her voice breaking. "Oh God, boy, you came back for me." She didn't have time to think. The water was nearly at her chest now. She grabbed a rope, tried to loop it around his neck, but Jasper stood firm as if saying, "Don't bother. Just hold on." With trembling hands, she clung to his thick, wet mane. "Please, don't let me go," she whispered. He moved slowly, one deliberate step at a time, feeling his way through the unseen dangers beneath the surface. Broken boards, floating crates, debris sweeping by in the current. Claire's legs floated behind her as she held on tight, praying with every heartbeat. At one point, the ground disappeared completely and Jasper had to swim, his powerful body surging upward to keep his head high above the torrent, making sure she stayed afloat too. The journey out of the valley felt endless. The rain pounded her face and cold water filled her ears. She wanted to close her eyes, to give up. But every time she felt herself slipping, Jasper shifted beneath her, steady and strong, step by step, breath by breath. Finally, after what felt like hours, his hooves struck firm ground. They climbed onto a patch of high earth, muddy but safe. Claire slid off his back, falling to her knees. She was shivering so hard her teeth rattled. Jasper stood over her, steam rising from his wet coat, his sides heaving, but he didn't move away. Rescuers found them an hour later, but by then Claire was already holding his face in her hands, sobbing into his mane. When the reporters came days later, asking her how she survived, she didn't hesitate. "I owe him my life," she said, her voice breaking.
He didn't just save me, he refused to leave me.
"Even when I would have left me,